Our next guest is going to help us get over something really big, and that's guilt. And she's here to talk about a topic a lot of couples don't really want to talk about. It's called financial infidelity. That's right. Attorney Ann Margaret Carrozza is here. Welcome. First of all, nice to have you. But what exactly is financial infidelity?
It's financial dishonesty, and an estimated 7 million Americans are keeping financial secrets from their spouse or partner. This can be a secret bank account, a secret credit card, and I'm going to give you some clues to be on the lookout for.
All right, we're going to jump right into this. According to our next guest, 1 in 5 Americans are financially unfaithful and have hidden a purchase of more than $500 or more from their significant other. You're going to help spot the warning signs, and doing that is attorney Ann Margaret Carrozza. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
We're going to get into this because this set off a firestorm around here. First of all, give us a little bit of your credentials, your background.
I'm an estate planning attorney, and I work with couples on prenuptial, postnuptial, and cohabitation agreements. I call all of them love contracts because we want to emphasize that financial difficulties between couples should be based on a foundation of love and respect.
And trust.
Nice.
Yes.
Tell us what financial infidelity means.
It's financial untruthfulness. Anytime we have secret spending or secret saving. I can have a partner who's buying assets in someone else's name without my knowledge. He may be helping adult children from a prior marriage. Any financial activities that are compromising our joint financial future is infidelity.
I said at the top, getting into this, spot those warning signs. What are we looking for? What are those signs?
The number one clue is going to be a post office box key. If I don't know that my partner has a post office box, there's something going on in all likelihood. Beyond that, we want to look at credit card statements. We want to look at our credit scores once a year. And we're in tax season right now. We really want to look at that tax return.
Why?
Because
Why the tax return?
Aside and apart from telling us about financial untruthfulness, we could be exposed to criminal sanctions. Look at Teresa Giudice, the Real Housewife, who is now in prison because she claimed she signed something without looking at it. You can't do that. The judge said you were either in on the wrongdoing or you should have known. End of story.
Isn't there an innocent spouse law? What happened to that? Did it go out the window?
For all practical purposes, the judge is going to base the decision on would a reasonable person know. And this day and age, we expect both partners to be fully conversant with the finances.
Well, she's unreasonable, I'll tell you from the get-go. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. All right, so with that said, now that we see the signs, we see that key, we see the tax situation, how do we confront them? Do we confront them? We have to, right?
We resist the impulse to do it in a negative, aggressive fashion.
Okay, that's not going to happen. So then what do we do?
That's not going to get us anywhere.
You've been betrayed, you're angry. So what is this?
But this is why the contract process is helpful, because it causes me first to step back and examine my own behavior. Have I ever been untruthful with financial matters? Oh, this stress, I've had it for ages. You know, we've all done that.
I understand your point there, but we're also talking about when people buy purchases like other mortgages, or they buy a boat, or they buy, or gambling debts, or credit cards that they hide, that they don't want it's almost like an obsession. It's not a small thing like shoes or Spanx.
No, so those are things that are going to compromise our joint financial future. So before confronting your partner, really try and step back and try and figure out, where is this coming from? We want to empathize with them, because money behaviors are just a symptom of a larger emotional issue. What was his financial childhood like? Were the parents squabbling over money? Were bill collectors calling? So when we're empathetic, we're going to sit down and have a more positive discussion.
Well, we've got a whole list of questions for you, but I want to jump in. I said something to you at the very top when I saw you at the beginning of the show. I said, you know, I don't understand it because I don't have a significant other to actually worry about, but I believe in just full disclosure. And do you remember what you called me?
Romantic.
Yeah. So why does that make me a romantic?
Because
if you go that way?
The reality is, 50% of all marriages are going to end in divorce. And when we look at second marriages, the statistics are closer to 60%.
Why?
So
What? I can't believe it. I'm
would be
sorry.
better.
No, I was just shocked at that statement. Please, go ahead.
It is shocking. So it is important to have these financial conversations and to be on the same page. You may have adult children from a prior marriage and you have an expectation that you're going to help them. Terrific, but let your new partner know all about that heading into the relationship.
Got it.
It doesn't cause friction and tension, right?
Okay.
Right. But could this happen in any kind of a relationship? I mean,
Yeah,
Just other than a marriage.
other than a marriage.
absolutely. Anytime you have love and money mixing, you can have an explosion. And I see it, I do a lot of elder law, I work with seniors, and I see adult children financially abusing their parents by misusing a power of attorney, by mortgaging the parent's house, selling the parent's house, transferring the parent's house into their own names. So this is very negative, and unfortunately it goes on a lot.
Was this learned the hard way for you?
Yeah, have you ever experienced financial infidelity? Let us turn the tables
You're in the
on
hot
you.
seat here now.
Yeah, well,
Right? Maybe you're in the wrong segment now.
About 5 years ago, our house was burglarized, and when the detectives came and they were taking a list of what was missing, my husband said to the detective, "Cash." Well, what kind of cash? He had $1,200 in his closet that I had no idea about it, and I was dumbfounded sitting there with the detective, and my husband is either a very nice guy or a quick thinker because he said, "That's for gifts. I was saving up for you for a gift."
Right.
So that may or may not be true. I've never gotten a gift in that price range. So.
But it could be. I mean, look, I guess if you want to buy somebody, if the gift is about a surprise, and if you see Neiman Marcus and blah blah blah, you're gonna see that.
Maybe.
What does it say? What's the bigger picture say? If someone is buying shoes or doing we talked a little bit about.
Yeah, I
the
think,
infidelity part.
you know,
Is it
especially
cheating?
Especially as women, we've all been a little bit out of control, I think, with our spending and our finances at one point or another. I know in my 20s I was more than $10,000 in credit card debt. I had very nice clothes, mind you. But at a certain point, we just want to get a handle on it.
Is there a solution to that? How to avoid? I mean, you say this contract, but so fine, we've got a contract. That's only if you split, right?
No, the contract is like a mission statement or a joint goal-setting device. We each separately make our financial goals, and then we each ask ourselves, what can I do to get us there? Only then do we sit down with the other partner in this love contract and talk about that.
Yeah.
Would you take a marriage that's already existing, you know, not before and not after, and work with a couple to say, you know, hey, let's get our finances
do that all
together,
the
and we need
time.
somebody to step in?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you have two people, if you have two people pursuing a goal, you're going to get there more quickly. We see that with Weight Watchers or Overeaters Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous. A group pursuing a goal gets there more quickly.
And, you can go to Ann's website at elderlawattorney.com.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Margaret. Nice to go.
Here with some insight on this topic is attorney Ann Margaret Carrozza. So is this true?
Yes. Now,
Yes.
this is the love contract is sort of like the next generation in prenuptial agreements. So the love contract, though, is really special because it can serve as the mission statement for the couple and really be a joint goal-setting device.
But is it just an idealistic notion, or is it literally, hey, if we don't have sex at least twice a month, we're done? Is it
well, the
hit or miss targets?
It's hit or miss enforceability within this contract. So we're going to have aspirational goals, our financial goals together, sexual expectations come into it. Now that's probably not going to be legally enforceable in a court of law, but it's important to get that out there on the front end. Get all of your pet peeves out there. How often do you want your mother-in-law to visit? All of these things.
So this is, and you encourage clients to include some of these things if they're important to them?
I really do. This is a very useful exercise, bringing the contract process into it to kind of vet
Honey, it's the 31st. We've only had sex 3 times this month. You know, we said 4 is the minimum. I mean,
and you said you wouldn't get any more tattoos right here, yet you did. So it goes back and forth, and it forces the couple to sort of put these things out there on the front end.
I want to move on to a Twitter question, because I think this is something really important a lot of people don't think about. At Lisa Sternfield asked, I'm putting off doing a will because it's expensive to hire a professional. Is there a cheaper way to do it myself without making mistakes? We even know in medicine, end-of-life planning, it's highly underutilized. Wills go along with that. What should someone like this do?
Okay, don't do the will on your own. There's so much at stake. If you have limited finances, call around to a bunch of attorneys, see if someone is going to let you pay it off over time. If your finances are non-existent, make some phone calls, see if someone would do it on a pro bono basis.
What about some of these online will-making websites?
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. It's a penny wise and a pound foolish. They're going to be in court with it for months and months and months on the other end. Now, when someone has a child, I don't care you don't have any money, you think you don't need a will. If you have a child, you need to put within the will who's going to be the guardian of that child. Otherwise, a court is going to decide. Now, beyond who raises your child, how old do you want them to be when they inherit assets? And we look at Whitney Houston, we look at Michael Jackson. There are good and bad examples out there of how we deal with property and our children. Whitney Houston's will allowed Bobby Christina to get $2.5 million at 21 years old. I don't know about you, but I didn't know what the heck I was doing with money at 21.
So the point is, if you don't have a will, think long and hard about putting one together, and you can learn more of Anne Margaret Carrozza's tips at our website, thedoctorstv.com. And Margaret, thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
More on the other side of the break.
What's to stop you breaking that prenup?
Well, this is a contract, so it's designed to last after the marriage, after the cohabitation, whatever the relationship was. 27 states now in the United States have enacted or are considering revenge porn legislation. So this is a crime in some states to tweet or post sexually explicit images. But this would create civil monetary penalties that would stand apart from any divorce agreement.
But you see this prevalence of online kits, online wills, online health proxies. Okay, well, look, you're saying no.
It's sort of like do-it-yourself electrical wiring. You know, it's very, very dangerous. The single most common online document is a trust. But how do you know which one to get? A revocable trust? Sounds great, but everything in it is subject to estate taxes. A purely irrevocable trust? Now we're going to have a capital gains problem for the kids. You want to be somewhere in the middle, but that could be 25 different trusts. You need a lawyer for that piece of it. Medical tourism, now we have divorce tourism. The Dominican Republic has been the destination for many of my clients, some of my friends, and you can go there, one party can go there and get a divorce.
But without the other's knowledge, or?
Well, the other party has to know about it.
Okay.
But I can go alone. I could claim my husband knows about it, and I can come back, and a decree will come in the mail.
Is that legal?
It is legal unless my husband claims he was not properly notified. So then he would come into a New York court to try and overturn the divorce decree.
But then do you want to stay with that person?
Exactly, exactly.
You know? By the way, I divorced you this
By
past
the way,
weekend.
so
Yes.
it's the classic scene when you come home and the house is empty and there's a note, by the way, we're divorced.
Well,
it's a way for the court to triage the cases.
Yes.
So instead of a very simple, uncomplicated divorce languishing for 8 months and building up legal fees, it's a way to just deal with it. The Small Business Administration estimates that 52% of all U.S. businesses are home-based. Yet this particular deduction, many people don't benefit from because it was a red flag for an audit for many years. So a lot of taxpayers, a lot of my clients said, I'm not even going to bother taking it because they didn't want to go through the audit. But the IRS has issued issued some helpful guidance that we can deduct $5 per square foot of that portion of the home that we use exclusively for our business. You hit the nail on the head as it relates to a prenuptial agreement. So as an estate planning attorney, which is what I basically do, I advise people to have their children enter a prenuptial agreement to keep the family assets, the business assets separate. But when we have wrongdoing, when we have fault within a marriage, when the guy cheats, and the woman is deciding whether or not to give him a second chance, she'll often ask for a postnuptial agreement, saying, okay, you get one more chance, but in the event that you fall off the wagon again, I get
X.
it
all.
Exactly. And I can get a divorce in any state now that we all have no-fault divorce. But beyond that, we might want a penalty clause. If I've given up 5 years of my life in my career where I could have advanced to X level, and we're breaking up because of your cheating, then am I not entitled to a monetary settlement? I would urge both parties to have a non-disclosure requirement within the prenup where they're not allowed to speak negatively about each other in public. It'd be awfully difficult for them to resist the temptation because that could mean millions and millions of dollars. They don't have standing, they're time barred. California would require an objectant to file a proceeding within 120 days. That has clearly come and gone. I think the number one reason that people talk about the validity of a will, even in the absence of a bona fide challenge, is the hope of a settlement. A love contract is a legal document, sort of like a prenuptial agreement, that can also include a list of deal breakers, where if he cheats, she gets $5 million. Reported that she would receive $500,000 per episode of infidelity on the part of Justin Timberlake. Increasingly, we were seeing celebrities with lifestyle clauses. What would happen in the event of infidelity or substance abuse issue? If I were advising Kanye, which I'm not, I would strongly suggest that he have a non-disclosure or confidentiality clause within their love contract. Make sure that the rules are crystal clear. Never spot someone, because then they can claim that you agreed to spot them. There is a winner, and it's an office pool. You can be sure that people are going to say, I thought I was in. I thought that you were going to cover me. That's our usual deal. That's why it's so important to have rules and never deviate from the rules. Put the money in a trust, because we all know that the win is subject to income taxes, but it's also subject to 55% estate taxes. Well, that's brilliant diplomatic speak. So regret, does he regret, the overreaction in India? Does he regret the U.S. Attorney's action?
It's vague enough, so he's not really calling anybody out.
And the hope is that everyone hears what they want to hear from it, because at the end of the day, this is crying out for a settlement. India is one of our most important and treasured allies in the world, and it's a terrible concern for not only U.S. diplomats abroad, but we have 60,000 American nationals living and working in India. So, the anti-American sentiment there is very, very troubling. This is crying out to be settled.
Do you find it kind of curious that they gave her some freedom as far as like trying to find a babysitter before they brought her into custody, getting her some coffee, and then yet they did a full body search?
You know what? I'm not really persuaded by that. Preet Bharara saying we got her a cup of coffee. It's like big deal. You look at former U.S. Attorney Rudy Giuliani bringing Michael Milken in, a monster by all accounts. And
did they give him a full body search when
they made an appointment, in a very nice way for him to come in and surrender?
They did?
Yes. She could not have been expecting this arrest, or she would not have taken her daughter to school. With a legal separation, the couple is still technically married, but it does allow them to come up with an agreement on the property issues and custody of the children. There is a chance that they had no prenuptial agreement coming into this, in which case California law says community property half and half.